You're listening to That Concern Guy. For this clip, I want to discuss on the high birth rate among the poorer masses of the Philippines. It is not uncommon to see poor Filipino families having 6, 12, or even 20 children, despite not having the financial resources to raise their children, to have a sustainable life, to better themselves and their situation. Not enough money for food, school books, stationery, medical needs, proper shelter, or clothing. And yet, these poor families continue to have more children without thinking of the long-term struggles and hardships that will come their way. Since there is a lack of resources to provide aid for these poor families, the children often suffer from hardships created by their parents. Many do not finish elementary school and are forced to work to help their families. This breeds another generation of poverty and thus brings a big burden to the society, as there are not many jobs for people to work in order to pay taxes that could go towards aiding the poor. With a population of over 100 million people, the Philippines is struggling to manage such a big population where traffic and pollution is an everyday norm. So, especially in the country's capital city, Manila, with a population of 20 million, continues to grow despite the heavy traffic, pollution, and lack of space to accommodate such growth. And many of the nation's poor families migrate to Manila from the provinces to seek employment. Many of these families end up living in the squatter areas of Manila. Rusty shed-type houses that are all cramped into one area, and there are those that are located underneath a bridge and by the Pasig River, which is heavily polluted with litter, plastic bottles being dumped by these squatters. Again, the lack of discipline and education among these poor families end up polluting a once beautiful river. These poor families continue to live in poverty, barely able to afford to send their kids to elementary school, many not reaching high school, as many of these kids end up working to help their parents. Again, this leads to another generation of struggling families that cannot rise out of poverty. The strong influence of the church dictates to poor masses to not use contraception, birth control. This is how these poor masses end up making the wrong choices in life by having too many children they cannot afford. The RHbill is still being attacked by the church, despite many actually supporting this bill in order for the masses to have access to family planning methods and information. It is understandable that these poor families need religion as a crutch to aid their everyday struggles. But family planning needs to be decimated among the poor families, especially the younger generations. Another thing is that many Filipinos are matigas ulo, meaning hard-headed or stubborn, as they are very sensitive towards constructive criticisms that can actually help them. This needs to be addressed, as the nation cannot improve if hard-headedness continues to prevail among the nation. This is just a little info on how the situation is among the poor families and the poor masses in the Philippines. Thank you for listening.